All right, let's talk about the great, legendary Martin Scorsese, but let's not do it for 3.5 hours. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. Some of the greatest and frankly my favorite films of all time: Goodfellas, Casino, Raging Bull. The guy is a master. We're here to talk about his new endeavor, Killers of the Flower Moon. Did I think as highly of that film as some of the other ones I mentioned? The answer in short is no. But, hold on. I thought this was an amazing film and a great accomplishment. Flower Moon tells a very important story that frankly is pretty untold in American history of the Osage Native Americans. I really appreciate him giving me that historical background that frankly I didn't have, that schools didn't teach. I just didn't know anything about the Osages. So as a country, I feel like we have failed them in terms of telling their story. I just want to keep this spoiler free. And I know that a lot of people come down on me or come down on critics when they say that movies are too long or overblown or whatever. With Flower Moon, this movie is way too long. It is a good film that could have been, frankly, a masterpiece had it been in the 2 hour to 2.5 hour range, still telling that important story, still getting some of these Excalibur performances out there, and we'll talk a little bit about those too. I thought it was a good film, but I think if you don't have that historical interest in that part of American history, if you don't have that kind of devout attachment to Scorsese and to the way he tells stories, it's not going to be for you. It's not a movie for everyone from an entertainment perspective as a film. But with that being said, I think its importance far outweighs that, because I feel like the story of the Osages is something that everyone should have access to, and just unfortunately we do not. I know this is based on a book, and Scorsese being one of the more popular names in Hollywood, along with some of these actors like DiCaprio and De Niro that are in the film, it's going to bring new eyeballs to the story like my own. And I really respect that. And frankly, I think that's probably the most important thing to come from this release. Real quick, I'll just touch on the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro that I mentioned are the big time kind of marquee names in this movie. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you before I get into my favorite thing from a performance perspective about the film. DiCaprio kind of bothered me in this. A lot of people have been saying it's the best performance of his career. I disagree. I feel like it was a good performance, but it was not one of my favorite DiCaprio performances. It started to kind of feel like it was a caricature of itself as the movie went along. In the first act of the film, I kind of bought into his character and to his performance and portrayal. But as the movie went on, it just became a little cartoonish, and it was like silly. I don't know. That's my take on it. I found myself kind of chuckling at his performance and how kind of over the top and dedicated it was as the film went on. When you look at other Scorsese performances of his in like The Gangs of New York or The Departed, which was a beautiful telling of duality in that film, this film was very monotone for him. He was kind of playing that, I'll say, absent-minded redneck kind of character. I don't know. So I didn't love it in terms of DiCaprio's career, but I also don't think it was a horrible performance. That's just my personal take on it. De Niro, top tier. He'll be nominated for supporting actor. And by the way, Leo will probably be nominated for actor as well for this movie, as it's been very well received, my opinion aside. However, the best performance in this movie is Lily Gladstone. Absolute revelation. Somebody that I was vaguely familiar with, but was not very intimate with her body of work. She absolutely floored me in this movie. And based on what I just said about DiCaprio, I wish Gladstone had been front and center in this movie a lot more than he was. A lot more than Ernest in this movie. I would have given anything to see more Molly in this film. So with that being said, Lily Gladstone takes the cake in terms of performances. Releasing the news a couple months ago that she's going to campaign as lead actress for this film and not supporting. While that may hurt her chances overall to win it, I think that is fair. I think the movie is centered on her story, which is, as an extension, the story of the Osage people. So what Scorsese unfortunately kind of does here, or maybe the screenplay I should say kind of does here, is it tells it from the perspective of Ernest, and he's kind of in the middle of it all, as opposed to Lily Gladstone and Molly. At the end of the day, I'm just going to summarize by saying this is a phenomenal film, one of the best well-made films that you'll see all year, flawlessly edited, flawless cinematography. Obviously, the direction is uncanny, and some of the performances I just talked about as well. I also freaking loved Jesse Plemons in this, although he has a pretty small role. If you love Scorsese, if you love American history, you'll probably dig it. It's 3.5 hours long. It is engaging, but it's just too long. It did not need to be that length to have the impact that it ultimately could have had in a shorter runtime, in my opinion. I'm going to give it a 79 out of 100 for Killers of the Flower Moon. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Was I too hard on it? Let me know down below in the comments. I'll see you next time in the garage.